This is how engineers get great at texting. A tester of ours asked me for help on how to become great at texting. And so I spent a few hours breaking down pickup lines to determine why they work. And then I tried to dissect all my learnings into a formula. And I think I figured it out. These are the lines that are broken down in terms of psychology. How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. A, I am my name. My mom told me to come to the club and find a nice girl. So, hi. And these are openers. And then the next one is a late flake situation. Whatever. I dedicated my life to building orphanages for puppies that cannot bark. Do not make excuses because you cannot show up on time. The puppies can't wait. And then we have a ghost recovery situation. This is a situation when someone is not replying to you. Diary entry. Cute girl vanished. Should I send a search party? And then following up. Us not talking for 2 months is going beyond playing hard to get. You're going to drive me into the arms of several other women at this rate. And then 2. The rent is due and the kids are hungry. Don't worry, I got it. But when are you coming home, honey? And then this is miscellaneous. I wouldn't recommend this line if the person you're talking to is low self-esteem, just for context. But anyway. Aliens are coming to abduct all the good-looking people tomorrow. I'm just writing to say goodbye. Don't worry, you'll be fine. These are the psychological elements that I found from the lines that I analyzed. First of all, most of these lines have a playful, over-the-top scenario, which is relating to the current situation. And this is by far the most important block in the analysis. This is something that repeats itself over and over and over. And so, for example, let's go over following up one line. The playful over-the-top scenario is, you're going to drive me into the arms of several other women at this rate. Because it's a playful over-the-top scenario. It's unlikely to be the case, or in any case, it's playful, you know. And then the relating to the current situation part is, us not talking for 2 months is going beyond playing hard to get. This is the current situation. She's not replying or she's not talking to him, whatever. Another example of a playful over-the-top scenario is this late flake situation. In this case, in this line, the playful over-the-top scenario is, I dedicated my life to building orphanages for puppies that cannot bark. The relating to the current situation is, do not make excuses because you cannot show up on time. And so you see how we're playing with these two blocks. And sometimes the playful over-the-top scenario goes first, like in this example, and sometimes it goes second, like in the following up one line. This is why I added the symbol of these arrows that goes in both directions, because you can truly play with both of these blocks however you wish. And then the next psychological element is max cuteness. And in this case, it's about an example like this late flake situation again. It's really hard for anyone to imagine something that is more cute than a situation like building orphanages for puppies that cannot bark. That's a very, very special, very cute vision that gets created into someone's mind, if you will. And so that is something that is very, very cute. And a lot of these lines follow a similar pattern of very, very cute scenarios. Another example is opener 2, which is, my mom told me to come to the club and find a nice girl. That's a very cute thing to hear. And maybe not the part about coming to the club, but the mom telling this, you know. Yeah, rent is due and the kids are hungry. This is also, not so much this part, but the next of the line is very cute. Don't worry, I got it, but when are you coming home, honey? You know, it's a very cute scenario. And so this is just the way I define it, max cuteness type of scenarios. And then we have contrast. Funny to serious, happy to sad. And to be honest, when it comes to contrast, I only could find one example, which is, I dedicated my life to building orphanages for puppies that cannot bark. And in this case, it's kind of like a funny scenario. And then it gets serious very fast. Don't make excuses because you cannot show up on time. It's like vibe 1, vibe 2, very different. You know, this is something that I've seen when it comes to this line that I noticed that I think is worth to mention. And then, lastly, we have double meaning. And so in the example of the very first line, how much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. Then you have this double meaning situation where it starts as a logical question, and then it goes right into a punchline, which is a very clever way to thinking about the meaning of words. And so this is something else that I see that I can see working if you were to create your own lines. These are the psychological elements. By the way, as a side note, if you'd like me to help you personally and you want to find a long-term partner and you're an engineer, then book a call. And what you see is that my girlfriend and I focus specifically on helping you find a long-term partner. And so we have a few slots open. 5 is actually the wrong number. I should have updated this, but I only got to this now. We have a few slots open. And then once they get filled, then the price is going to go up. Okay, so let's talk about frames. Frames are applicable to playful over-the-top scenarios and also relating to the current situation. So both building blocks. And some of the frames that I see that keep showing up when it comes to these lines are things like, I have resources, or similar to resources, I have time to focus on seemingly small stuff. And then I have abundance, which is also similar to resources, but in this context, it gets said as jokingly, do this at your own risk. Like, I'm not afraid of you leaving because I have abundance in this case of partners or potential partners. And then the last empowering frame is I don't care. And so let's go over some of these. When it comes to these lines, us not talking for 2 months is playing beyond hard to get. You're going to drive me into the arms of several other women at this rate. The frame that comes with the second line is I have abundance of options. And obviously it gets said jokingly because if it was serious, then it wouldn't work. But you're kind of hinting at that in a way. Some other frames that I see are I dedicated my life to building orphanages for puppies that cannot bark. In this case, you are hinting at a frame of abundance of resources because, it takes money to build orphanages, first of all, and it also takes time. Now we have this formula. We have the frames and we have also the psychological elements. And so the first step into applying this formula to make your own lines, to truly become a master, looks like this. You start by asking yourself, what is the current situation? So the possible situations are like you're opening someone, you're talking to them for the first time, whether it's online or in person, or she flaked or she's late, or you're following up after a long time, or she's not replying to you. You got to ask yourself, what is the situation? And so it starts by asking yourself that question. Then imagine a playful over-the-top scenario that can relate to the current situation. And in this case, you can use tools like contrast or double meaning. And then lastly, check that the frame of the line is empowering. And if it isn't, fix it. This is the way I apply the formula, and it will all make sense by the end of the video. So these are some of the tests I did using the formula. So here the frame is that she's late. So remember, the first thing is asking, what is the current situation? And so the current situation here is she's late. And then using this formula, playful over the top scenario, I made my own line, which is, I left my starving puppy with my sister to come and meet you. His worst nightmare. Not starvation, big with my sister. Come help me rescue him. And so this is following a similar structure. It's including max cuteness. It's including a playful over the top scenario. It's including a playful situation, a possible relationship with my sister being like rocky or like us making fun of each other. And then there's a call to action. So this is something that I came up with, and I would say it works pretty well. But then I thought about it and I was like, there's something off about this line. And so I kept digging and I saw that the frame of the puppy starving wouldn't be positive, because then the frame would be, I am a bad owner. And so I changed it to something I wouldn't have anything to do. So here's the next version. I left my puppy with a lazy eye with my sister to come and meet you. His worst nightmare. Not the lazy eye, being with my sister. Come help me rescue him. Now, if you analyze this, you'll see there is a fundamental difference between the two lines, between V1 and V2, because in the first line, I am his owner, so I have ownership over making sure that the puppy is good. And so it might put me in a bad light if the puppy is not taken care of. While with the lazy eye, I have nothing to do with the lazy eye. It's something that the puppy was born with, and that just remains to be the case. And so this solves the problem of the frame while maintaining the play for the top scenario and all that good stuff. And so this is an example of a line that, from my perspective, is very good. And then another example is she flaked. And in this case, in this scenario, I came up with this. Oh my God, I just met Morgan Freeman at date location. He waved at me with a subtle smile. Beautiful man. How many more of us are you depriving yourself of? And so in this scenario, it's just like this like bogus situations, like Morgan Freeman waving at you with a subtle smile. And then you're like, and then you're relating that to the current situation, which is how many of us are you depriving yourself of? It's kind of like, you know, a bit of a playful like way to say like, what are you doing with your life? Like flaking, like you could have like just avoided that. If you are sending this as a text message, then I would recommend that you send it line by line. And so, oh my God, I just met Morgan Freeman at their location, send, and then he waved at me with a subtle smile, send, and then beautiful man, send, and then how many more of us are you depriving yourself of? So it looks less manufactured, if you will. And then test that I did using the formula, using a specific opener. So she's got a picture of herself in the mountains. Say you're swiping on Tinder and you see a picture of her in the mountains. So you go, cool pictures, mountains rock, dot. Get it? Smiley face. This is just a cheeky opener that plays a little bit on the double meaning of mountains rock. She will not reply. Send help. At this rate, you will fulfill my mom's lifelong dream of having me for herself. Is that what you want? And so with this type of situation, you have the send help and the next line, which is kind of like the playful over the top scenario. And then, is that what you want? This is kind of like relating to the current situation of the fact that she will not reply. And then you have following up after a long time. The oldest person in the world is a French lady who lived for 122 years, which is almost as long as we have had this conversation. Don't worry, we still look great. My way entertain hanging out, madame. And so with this type of situation, with this type of line, you have this like play forward over the top scenario, which is also true, which is the oldest person in the world is a French lady who lived for 122 years. And then you're relating that to the current situation, which is almost as long as we have had this conversation. Don't worry, we still look great. You're playing with the two things, you see, and it intertwines seamlessly in the lines, and that's what makes them good from my perspective. And so these are some examples that I came up with using the formula. And so at this point, now it's up to you to go and create your own things. And trust me, if you do this long enough, if you put enough reps into this, there is absolutely no way that you're not going to become a master making your own lines. And the beautiful thing about it is that you can make them congruent with yourself. And so, for example, like this line that I came up with is something that is actually kind of congruent with myself. I could see myself joking about this because my mom is very overprotective. And so these are some of the ways that you want to think about the subject. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like help finding a long-term partner and you don't know how, and you're also an engineer, then let's jump on a call and you and I will talk and we'll see how we can help you get to that goal. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.